Now to something that most students ask us teachers about. How am I supposed to formulate a thesis statement? You are going to state your topic, the direction, and you could begin something like this. A thorough analysis of, and then you mention the name of the book, demonstrates that. But this is just a suggestion, remember that, as you saw with the dollhouse. It is vital that you tighten your focus as much as you can, because that way you can dig deep into the novel and really analyze it. Instead of talking about many things, focus on one single thing. If you look here, I'll show you. A correct thesis statement is, the author of Cinderella paired lazy female characters with a hard-working female protagonist to show that hard work leads to love and happiness. That is a perfectly formulated thesis statement. Some of you think that you can ask questions. And then you say, does the author use Cinderella to show that hard work leads to love and happiness? No, because a statement shows that you have taken a stand for something. A question you don't really know, but I know that in some books it says that you should present a question. That is an issue. But there is a question involved also in a statement. Are you right or are you wrong? But it's not going to present it as a question. Neither is it going to be presented as an announcement. Many of you do this, and I know why, because it says so in some books. And then you involve yourselves, and you say, in my analysis of Cinderella, I will show or discuss that hard work leads to love and happiness. It is never, ever, ever allowed to refer to yourself, especially not in a thesis statement, and not in any academic essays, apart from at the very end, where you can present some personal opinions. So, away with this. So, look at this. What is it, really? You could also say, in Cinderella, the author paired lazy female characters with hard-working female protagonists to show a hard-working female protagonist to show that hard work leads to love and happiness. So you can swap the sentence, the thesis statement exactly as you want it, as long as you avoid making it to a question and to make it into an announcement, because you're going to present a statement that you will defend. And the more narrow it is, the more tightened you have written it, the easier it will be for you to focus on that throughout your entire essay. And I'm sure you can do it as long as you've understood what you're supposed to do. Why is this so extremely important? Well, it will help to convince others, as we will see. If you want to know more, I suggest the two links that I have added here, rowanestate.edu, and the Writing Center is also from a university. They have handed out a lot of fantastic information where you can find more. So this is just a simplified version of it. Why is it so important to have a good thesis statement? Well, it's all about convincing others that you are right, that your point of view is totally logical. So a well-formulated thesis statement is the basic key to succeed. If you don't have it, your essay will sort of float around discussing different things, and they can be really, really good. But if you have a good thesis statement, you have something to return to that will bind the information together. And you need evidence. The only evidence at hand when you analyze books are quotes that support your interpretation. So remember, quotes are really important. But think about it. Do you just like them, or do they really support what you have said or what you have stated? Some examples. Many of you read Nick Hornby's High Fidelity. A thesis statement is quite obvious. But how about arguing that another one of his girlfriends could have been a better match for him than Laura, and using examples to prove that? You could also present a thesis based on what you learn from a book, as I mentioned about Cinderella. Another example that one of my students used regarding the adventure of Huckleberry Finn, he wrote that in the adventure of Huckleberry Finn, the author uses Huckleberry Finn to make a manifestation against racism. That is good, but you could also narrow it down even more by saying a thorough analysis of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn demonstrates that Twain decided to set the novel in a time before the abolition of slavery, despite the fact that he published it in 1985, 2 decades after the end of the Civil War, as a manifestation against racism. Yes, it's very long, but it helps you to return to it, because here we have got a fact that Mark Twain, he chose to dribble a little bit with time to make a point about racism, so it'll be easier if you can add a few details. But it's not possible to state this is a fact, because this is fiction. This is all about analyzing and interpreting. But you understand what it's all about, I guess. Another 2 examples to prove this. If we take 2 well-known stories that you most certainly know from your childhood, or if you have children, Robin Hood and Snow White. Look at it. The use of a monarchy or kingdom setting in Robin Hood allowed the author to portray the abuses of power that often occur among the wealthiest members of a community. I guess that's not the way you have looked at it before, but this is one way of analyzing it or interpreting it. And how about Snow White? The use of certain plot elements in Snow White, such as the poisoned apple and resulting slumber, help readers understand that being too trusting can lead to dire consequences. Yes, that's clear, you might think. But have you thought about that you could make it or turn it into a fantastic thesis statement? So if you take time to think really deeply upon your book, if you choose, for instance, in sparknotes.com, study questions and essay topics, you have these ideas. You don't have any fixed thesis statements, but you can see how you can interpret these stories. And then it's up to you to find suitable quotes to support your thesis and to expand the arguments and discuss it. And finally, you wrap it up. And then you have a good thesis, a good essay. And next time I will show you a very simplified example. So if you want more information, please check the next film.